One day, an entrepreneur presented the chalkboard presentation you're about to view to a group of 7 people. One of them acted on the information and retired wealthy in under 1 year. He went on to write international bestsellers that have been translated into dozens of languages. The other 6 people spent the rest of their lives as worker bees and are now either dead or dead broke. Soon, it'll be your opportunity to make a decision based on the same facts. Watch closely, because the man at the chalkboard is the guy who took action, and he speaks from experience. This information is so threatening that in 2009, after he was invited to deliver it at a major university, the hierarchy of that same institution censored him. In fact, this class was banned.
You know, in April of '86, when I saw the chalkboard presentation you're about to see, when a man who had been a PhD from a university stood up to the chalkboard and showed me the 2 plans operative in North America, and indeed in all of capitalism, I was so flabbergasted that there were 2 plans. I said, where did that come from? How come I didn't learn that in first? I should have been learning about that plan in the 1st grade or the 2nd grade or certainly in high school. No. You don't know about this plan because it's not being taught. And the only reason I decided to do this chalkboard demonstration and show you this class in fundamental economics is because I was called by a major North American university 4 months ago and invited to lecture at the economics class with all kinds of graduate and undergraduate students. They called me and they said, would you come and teach our class? Would you send us a curriculum so we'll get a general idea for advertising purposes what you're going to be teaching? And I gave them the information I'm about to give you, and they banned me from the university. They said that the plan I was teaching was too volatile. So I'm going to give it to you for free. I'm going to fling it out there in space for anybody who wants to use it. You won't see my name. You won't see a capture page. You'll see absolutely no economic motivation. I won't ask you to buy anything. This is all about me teaching you what I learned in April of '86 and in 11 months allowed me to retire from basic poverty and move to Aspen, Colorado to be a snow ski bum for 2 or 3 years on all my wealth. There are 2 plans in global economics and they're operating right now. And by the way, you know, most people, 95% of all people, according to the National Education Association, do not read 1 book a year. I try to read 5, 10 books a month minimum because that's my hobby and I've got the freedom to do that. Friends, if you find anything I say a bit disconcerting, if you want to learn more about the 40-year plan, may I humbly beg you to buy 1 book. It's by a guy named David Korten, and the book is called The Great Turning. Who is David Korten? Well, let me just read you from the back point, the cover. David Korten, Dr. Korten, worked for more than 35 years in preeminent business, academic, and international development institutions. He earned his MBA and PhD at Stanford. He was a captain in the U.S. Air Force in Vietnam with duty of Special Air Warfare School teaching, and he was at the Office of the Secretary of Defense Office. Then he served as a Harvard professor for many years where he taught both undergraduate and graduate economics. He's a brilliant guy. He's one of the bright. If you never read another book in your life, and if you find some of my comments a little bit hard to take, would you please do me a favor? Get this 1 book. I'm begging you. 95% of the people don't read 1 book a year. Please read this 1 book, because what I'm going to say is going to shock you tremendously. There are two plans, as I said. The first plan is called the 40-year plan.
The 40-year plan is a giant pyramid scheme in which the top 1% control 95% of all assets. That's how a pyramid works. And that is a statistical fact about North America. The drones do all the work, and the elite, even if their companies fail, get multi-million-dollar annual bonuses that flow directly from the bottom 95%. For 50 years, those in power have hidden the fact that the 40-year plan is a pyramid, and denied that the 4-year plan is the last bastion of free enterprise. Those engaged in the 40-year plan are little more than digital sharecroppers and virtual worker bees who've grown so weary of business as usual that many have literally given up. Don't. There's an option.
In the 40-year plan, essentially, you become and I become what I would call a drone, a worker bee. For 40 years, well, let me diagram it for you. Statistically, this is what happens. At age 25, most of us have a sense of direction. And at age 65, there's a very interesting statistic that occurs after 40 years. For 40 years, the average person goes back and forth to work, back and forth, like a silly, sick, caged lion. And after 40 years on this plan, and it doesn't matter, drones are drones. Your uniform may be a little blue shirt with a name tag. It may be a white coat and a stethoscope. There are different uniforms for different drones. But these people go back and forth for 40 years in the 40-year plan. Here's the compelling statistic. Out of every 100 Americans who starts at age 25 with a sense of direction, by age 65, 31 are dead, 68 are broke, and 1 person is independently wealthy. Ladies and gentlemen, the 40-year plan is what we teach and what our kids have been taught for years and years and years. It is hokum compared to the 4-year plan. Now, please understand, here's the lure of the 40-year plan. It's called compound interest. And the way that works is, if you can get your hands on $100,000 and go through 5 cycles of life that each last 8 years, let me just tell you what I mean by that. Compound interest means your money doubles every 8 years. So if you could get your hands on, let us say, $100,000 at age 25, let's say you work hard from 22 to age 25, get your hands on $100,000. Here's the beauty of it. In the first 8 years, it goes to $200,000. Great, huh? That's compound interest. That's the way drones make money. That's the way worker bees get their money in the 40-year plan. 8 more years, you are at $400,000. 8 more years, you're at 8. My goodness, after 5 cycles, you're not only at $1.6 million, you're at $3.2 million. Or $12,000 a month for retirement. Let me ask you a question. Have you got $100,000 in checking? Do you think you'll ever have $100,000 in checking or in savings that you can put at interest for 5 8-year cycles so you can retire on 3.2? By the way, if you started today, in 40 years, that $3.2 million, based on the cost of living increases and regular inflation at current rates, would be worth about $700,000. So in other words, you'd be living below the poverty level if you stayed on the 40-year plan. That's the 40-year plan. Now, what happened was, this guy steps up to the board, and he erases the 40-year plan, just like I'm doing.
The 4-year plan was created as a clear alternative to traditional capitalism that offers rapid and dramatic monthly income tied to legitimate products or services rather than investments that fund compound interest. It's possible to fail or succeed in either plan, but there are 2 huge differences. Fail at the 4-year plan and you're out a couple of $100s and a few months' effort. Fail at the 40-year plan, like 99% do, and you're headed for an elderly dormitory where you'll run out the clock playing bingo for toaster ovens with oatmeal dribbling down your chin. Succeed in the 4-year plan and you're wealthy in 40 months. Succeed in the 40-year plan and you're able to pay cash for the hearing aids and electric cart you'll be using to get around Walmart. And hear the nice lady or man on the loudspeaker announcing the special sale on Jell-O.